Hey, this is the town board meeting for February 14th. The first thing on the agenda is a public hearing for powers incentive zoning. We have the applicant and the engineer here in the audience.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ryan Destro from BME Associates. Here with me tonight is Rob Brenner and Brian Mahoney from Canandaigua Development Company, LLC. We are here for the incentive rezoning application for the power property along Route 96. To start off, once again, I'd like to thank the town supervisor, town board, as well as the town staff for all of the coordination efforts to get to the point where we're at tonight. Per the input received from the town board members and staff at the January 10th town board meeting, we have removed the internal open space and conservation easement lines from the incentive zoning concept plan. And we've also extended the individual parcel rear lot lines where applicable. The minimum lot size remains as 11,900 square feet as originally proposed for this property. However, that alone represents a minimum increase in lot area of 19% over the approved minimum hickory rise lot size of 10,000 square feet, as well as the R110 zoning along Hook Road to the west, and Fairdale Glen is zoned R72, which allows even smaller lot sizes. So by removing the open space conservation easement area lines, the average lot size on this subdivision, this 216 lot subdivision, is 16,500 square feet. This reaffirms the incentive zoning concept plan is consistent with the town of Farmington comprehensive plan recommendations for the property. As previously mentioned, Chapter 4 future land use plan of the comprehensive plan states, and I quote, "For example, the land located to the east of Fairdale subdivision tract is zoned LI limited industrial. The town may want to consider rezoning the area east of Fairdale to a residential use, which would be more consistent with the existing land use pattern." As noted, the average lot size for the proposed 216 lot subdivision for lot layout and density greatly exceed the lot standards to the nearby residential properties to the west. To recap, some noteworthy dates during this incentive rezoning application include the following. On August 12th, 2022, the town supervisor issued a letter on behalf of the town board stating that the town board accepts the amenities package, which is based on the current 216 lot residential incentive zoning concept plan that we have to my right. On November 2nd, 2022, the planning board report and recommendation included a statement recommending that the town board consider moving forward with the formal rezoning process. Then on December 14th, 2022, the Ontario County Planning Board recommended approval of the power property incentive rezoning application. And then finally, most recently, on February 1st, 2023, the planning board adopted the supplemental report and recommendation for this project in favor of moving forward with the formal rezoning process. Finally, we are aware of the existing off-site drainage concerns to the east of the project. As noted by the adjacent property owners at the previous meetings. As a reminder, and town staff know this, but with any new development, this project will be designed to meet the New York State DEC stormwater management design guidelines for water quality and water quantity. And this will be to reduce the post-construction peak rate of runoff to a rate less than the pre-development rate of runoff for this property. That summarizes my input that I have for tonight's meeting. I'm happy to address any of your questions as we move forward with the process.
So in comparison, Hickory Rise, Hathaway's Corners, some of the newer projects, Auburn Meadows, where the retention ponds have been put in place. We see them work. They do hold up the water flow in heavy rain and they release it at a slower rate than what normally was out on what I call natural state prior to construction. And then I don't think this has been brought up in the past, but we have staff in the highway department and the building department that inspects all the water storage facilities in the town. We have a requirement. And I think it's every, kind of on the size, right? And
Well, we do it, the systems, the town broke it up into quadrants and we try to take a quadrant. So every pond is looked at every 4 years, unless if it's something that's in a higher demand area, then we increase the inspection.
okay. So, you know, even the existing ponds we have on there, whether they're privately owned or the town owns, and we have access to them and we do inspect those. On board, any other questions? Staff, anything, comments?
Yeah, this public hearing was continued because of the new information that was submitted by the applicant, which included, among other things, concepts for the limited industrial portion along the north side of Route 96. And was also reviewed by the planning board on the concept level. And their report and recommendation brings to closure the one open issue, which was identified when they initially reviewed this, that they hadn't showed any conceptual design for that area. Now they have, the planning board has reviewed it. Planning board chairman is here tonight, and they're ready to move forward on it. As far as the drainage concerns go, that some of the neighbors had, I think maybe you want to address some of that with Chris here tonight, just to explain what they found.
Yeah, so the last meeting, we had a discussion about water also on the east side of County Road 8. And so I reached back out to the Ontario County Highway Department. And then we had some conversation back and forth. They did get out there and look at the property. And I asked Chris Day to come tonight. He's part of the team that's going to rebuild County Road 8 in 23 and 24. And so they have had a chance to look at the drainage over there. Now, it's not going to fix everything, but there'll be some improvement. So, Chris, if you at this time could come up and talk a little bit, and we'll put your pictures up also.
Back when you're done.
Everybody see that okay? All right, so as Supervisor Ingleby said, I'm Chris Day with the Ontario County Department of Public Works. We were here in November to give a public information meeting on a culvert work that we're doing on County Road 8 between Route 96 and the county line. At that time, some of the constituents brought to our attention some of the drainage issues located along the east side of County Road 8, right in this area. And they were curious to know if this culvert right here was plugged. So we went out there and we checked it out, and we found a pretty interesting situation with the drainage out there. We have this culvert here, 21, being replaced, and we're gonna have a 13x7 box culvert there to convey that Black Creek up in this direction. And then once it gets to here, there's a 16-inch steel pipe that's there. So you really don't have to be a hydraulic engineer to figure out that that's not gonna work. So we were kind of confused as to how this whole situation was really arrived, and we thought perhaps that maybe at some time the railroad had shoved that pipe into the culvert and then backfilled it. And then just to mitigate not putting a new culvert in, but to our surprise, we went and pulled our valuation maps from when the railroad was built in 1917, and that's how this was built. They actually put this pipe in here and they allowed the creek to come along the other side, and then they split the flow and had the water diverted down a ditch where it re-entered back into Black Creek. Okay, so it's kind of a complicated drainage situation out there. And really what's happening is you have two watersheds. You have the Black Creek watershed here that flows kind of north and then it heads to the east. And then you have another drainage area that flows to the west. And that essentially picks up this property. It flows all the way to the west here. So what was happening is Black Creek would get very filled up or have a high flow event. And for years and years, it must have just worked. It went through the pipe and then it went down the ditch and the water didn't backfill this way, it had west. But at some point, and we think it's around 2009, right here, so this shows a Google Earth image. This is prior to construction. This is after construction. The Empire Pipeline came through there. And what they did was in this area right here, there was actually a berm. And you can still see remnants of that berm out there. The berm ties right into the railroad bank and then tapers down probably for about 50, maybe 75 feet from the roadway. And when they put the pipeline in, they kind of blew through that berm. So what that did was when that Black Creek comes up now, it allows water to backfeed into this other drainage area, okay, and come back down this ditch along the railroad bed and then go under our culvert pipe here and then go in towards the west and keep going. And then eventually goes underneath the railroad and heads over towards Collette Road. So that's what's happening out there right now. So what the plan is we're gonna meet actually tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. We're gonna meet with the railroad. And we're gonna try to get them to reestablish the ditch. They seem receptive to reestablishing the ditch. And we're gonna try to reestablish this berm as well to kind of contain that flow and keep that drainage moving to the east instead of having it go back to the west. All right, because when it was going to the west, it was kind of creating issues just adding issues for this area, which is already low, probably already inundated during high storm events. So hopefully what we can do, reestablish this berm and then clean this ditch out, and that'll keep this water moving to the east. So that's pretty much what I have at this point.
Show a couple of the pictures that you
sure, yeah.
found there.
Yeah, so here's the creek. So this is the pipe invert at the railroad. You got a little big tire there in the way. And so this one here. So this is hard to really see, but what you have here is you're kind of standing on the railroad bed here. This is the railroad tracks. This is kind of like a panoramic picture, so the railroad tracks kind of wrap around behind you. And this is the flow coming north from Black Creek. This is the berm that comes down, and this is the bypass ditch here. So flow comes north, and then it goes under the pipe, but it also goes down this bypass ditch. And when this berm was tall enough, it could contain the flow and make it go that direction. But since the construction of the pipeline and the berm has some issues too, there's a seepage here under the berm. Right here, this is looking, so the railroad is here is on your left, water's flowing north, we're looking east. And what you see here is a break in the berm right here. This actually water will pool up and flow back in, and it goes into this ditch and then flows to the west, which is not supposed to do. And that was due to the pipeline construction in this area. Here's the ditch that flows to the west along the railroad banks on the south side. Obviously needs some maintenance. the creek itself is just naturally sluggish. There's lots of debris in it. And it's causing blockage, come over and flow into this path as well. So the berm construction will require some coordination with the private property owner if that's not on our property. So we're gonna have to kind of work with them to see if we can reestablish the berm. We're also gonna have to get in touch with Empire Pipeline and talk to them about building this berm facility over there, use it infrastructure now. So it's in the works. That's our plan. Now, like I said, I'll keep I just let people know what's going on, because I know it has a big role. It doesn't really have a huge impact on this project, but there is some flow going to the west that should not be, so. The only thing I asked the town in your review of the subdivision is that you have them maintain the integrities of the watershed, okay? So this development has two watersheds, really. There's one to the south and one to the north, so we'd like to see that flow be the same. You know, it's pre and post development, has to be the same, but we'd like to see it the same in each direction. So whatever went to the west, keep it the same, whatever goes to the north, keep it the same. So, or north and south, I should say. How do you achieve that? Well, that's gonna be through their drainage practices. They're gonna have to figure out how much storm sewer they need to route to the south and how much to route to the north to maintain those pre and post development flow conditions. So.
There's a natural high spot on the property, so the water goes north and south now.
It shows up like right about here, like, so this water goes to the north, this water goes south. And they got about half of it really is going south and half goes north.
So from an engineering perspective, we would just want to see existing topo and proposed topo, and once we see your calcs, we'll be able to understand what originally went in what direction and what post-construction will look like as well.
Yeah, part of it too, with any development, we try and honor the existing grade as much as possible to limit the earthwork operation. And with this site having the centrally located high point, part of the design would be to honor that high point and then maintain the drainage patterns, like the speaker just presented. There's part of it going to the northeastern portion.
Right.
And the other half is going to the southeastern corner of the property.
And I gotta have it come up front because it's not being picked up. And while Ryan's coming to the front, any more questions for Chris Day in the room? Anybody online? Questions for Chris Day? All right, thanks, Chris. Yeah, Ryan, if you could just repeat what you said there.
Yeah, just to repeat, as part of the design for this, once we get into overall preliminary and final design for the phases, part of it would be honoring the existing high point as much as practical. That's centrally located on the property, north of the high point located in this area. That area drains to the northeastern corner of the property, generally, and then south of it drains the south and southeastern corner of the property. And part of our design will be to utilize the high point and split the storm sewers to take the drainage that was going to the north under the existing conditions to maintain that pattern, as well as the drainage areas that goes to the south under existing conditions to maintain that pattern as well.
And just for people, whether they're in the room or online, can you just mention now in your concept of the number north and south of the retention ponds?
The number of
The retention ponds north and south that are on the design?
Sure. Currently, we're showing on the southeastern corner of the property, just below the residential portion, 1 to 2 ponds. They could be linked, so it could be one potential stormwater management area there linked with an equalization pipe or 2 separate ponds. And then in the northeastern corner, we do have the potential for, well, definitely we'll be targeting a stormwater management pond in the northeastern corner of the property, as well as potential for another 1 or 2 in the northern portions of the property based on how the drainage is really works out in that area.
Thank you. Anybody in the group here have any questions? Larry?
The pond you got on the northeast corner of the where the residential land. That water's all gonna run to the gutter. And it won't flow that way. Is there any way for the overflow of that to be directed over to the railroad, kind of further around, so it's not coming back to the east on the property?
Yeah, we would certainly look into that, and that, you know, the indication of the wetland lines indicates that that's the direction that we would take it to. Actually towards the northwest, a little bit away from your eastern property line, first towards the tracks.
Because the water's naturally gonna come back.
It looks like what we saw from the county is that that water that's pumping along the railroad is gonna come up. Potentially is flowing into the northern part of the project. The overflow from the creek. So my concern would be if if it's engineered to a standard where this is how much water is coming off of the existing property, but there's more water than should be coming from the overflow of the creek, I mean, what's getting done first? I mean, if there's a holdup on getting this berm and correcting the flow issues that happen where the creek splits, then we're gonna have stormwater facilities on the north that may not be adequate for that project. If there's some sort of holdup to get that done. Again, you know, we have the standard where these retention ponds have to be built to a certain level, and it may be an easy solution to maybe just over-engineer these ponds a little bit so they can hold more water than the bare minimum required. We're concerned about what's going to happen with this extra water. I know the minimum is these 100-year events, which seem to happen more and more, and then you know, drainage pipes get backed up, and we do have issues with a lot of our ponds, so about that, it wouldn't be too much of an inconvenience to over-engineer the ponds and have them designed to hold a little more water than the bare minimum.
That's something we can certainly look at as part of our overall
Especially if there's water coming to that northern part of the property that shouldn't be, so now. If there's any more issues with that berm or ever have another issue, then we could all of a sudden, you know, down the line be dealing with, okay, this creek is flowing over here again, we need to fix it. And it's overwhelming, you know, the retention ponds are there that weren't designed to hold that excess water.
At least take a look at it, right?
Yeah, we would certainly look at that, and if we are able to provide additional detention storage volume, we can certainly look into providing that as part of the overall preliminary design.
Then Chris, I know you said you're meeting with them tomorrow, so after tomorrow's meeting, you might have a timetable as far as a commitment, correct?
Sure.
Possibly, okay.
You know, you got the railroad, you've got the county, you've got the pipeline, you've got a private owner. I mean, we all know that process could certainly take quite a while to eventually get sorted out.
Right. No problem. Take a while to get houses built, especially in phases. So the northern phase will be one of the last, correct?
Correct.
Again, one more time, anything, staff? Anybody in the room with another question?
Just want to make people aware too that portion to the east there, I think it's owned by the field there. Just east of that will still drain to the west. That is supposed to drain that.
Purdy's?
What's that?
Purdy?
Purdy, exactly, yes, that deal. Will still go that way, even regardless of when we do the treatment.
Right.
Just make that clear.
Anybody online? With a question or comment?
I do. Can you hear me okay?
Ken.
My name's Mike Phillips, 1110 County Road 8. And I just have a few things that I would like to discuss today about this project. And there are 3 landowners that border this property, which may possibly be rezoned. And they are 1104 County Road 8, which is Larry, 1110, which is myself, and 1118, which is the horse farm right next to me. And from viewing the most recent plan layout, there will be around 9 housing units across my property line, which is around 600 feet long or so. And the other two landowners will have similar housing count on their borders. And there are a total of about 1,600 feet of property line for all three landowners that immediately border this property. So therefore, there may be around 20 housing units that border our wooded property. And the reason I'm displaying these numbers is I can foresee future trespassing issues with these possible 20 housing units that back up to our wooded area, whether it be families gathering firewood for a campfire, or kids playing in the woods and building forts, or individuals coming over to horse farm to see the donkey and other animals, or even homeowners that may use our woods for additional storage space. And I did hear in the last public meeting that the town has received calls in the past when items cross property lines, and the town wants to avoid those calls. So that being said, if this housing project was to move forward, what insurance will us three landowners have that will not have individuals coming to our wooded property? And the reason I ask is, if this project goes through and then eventually will be finalized, us three landowners will have to deal with these possible issues in the decades to come in the future. In other housing areas or projects around the area, I have seen privacy barriers created either by the town or the state or the developer when having housing next to a road. An example of this is the wall between the apartment housing complex next to the throughway access. And since the developer will be creating this environment, will it be the responsibility of the three landowners to build their own wall at our expense? Because again, this project is when it is complete, and if nothing is done, us three landowners will have to deal with the possibility of the border issues in the future, and not the developer. And I have heard in the past that walls do work. So again, I just wondering everybody's thoughts on this possible future issue.
And how many developments have you been involved in? Well, you've been with BME.
Dozens and dozens.
You ever had to build a wall?
No, typically in most municipalities, there are no buffering requirements or wall requirements between residential to residential properties.
Dan, could you kind of speak to, I mean, I know in Auburn Meadows, out of 400 and some homes, we've had 2 properties, maybe.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to look at all of our subdivisions and trying to figure out, and I think Ryan actually summed it up well, that between residential to residential, there is no buffering requirements. The one that he's mentioning is between residential and a highway, which is the throughway entrance there. That's why that wall was built. But yeah, I look at all the other subdivisions, the incentive zonings that been approved by the town. I can't recall anything that would be in that situation. Now, he did mention about, we've had some encroachment on some of the town land that we're dealing with. That does happen. I mean, he does have the option. He's really concerned about this. I mean, he could come see us and get a permit for a fence, or that would be, I would think, would have to be his own concerns.
Okay, so therefore this project will create future work and expense for me specifically going forward, and I can guarantee there will be border issues that I'll have to deal with in the future.
Well, let me just comment, your neighbor Larry could encroach on your property too. So are you going to build a fence there? I mean,
Sure, and I do have a response to that, and I have 2 bordering neighbors, as you stated right now, which have their own double-digit acreage that they can use. And when the developer creates 9 homes along my property line, these families will have limited space to use, and the woods is a perfect expansion usage. So that's the difference I see in my head. And if I had a choice between the housing units or the business that could be built on there right now, I would choose the businesses.
I'd say, no trespassing signs along the property is certainly a start. It's the only way you could actually enforce anybody encroaching on the property. If there were signs up, you would be able to take legal action against them for encroachment. That's a pretty cheap. Anybody who has land is probably gonna put no trespassing signs up. We've had to put no trespassing signs up around 500 acres, so it's not exactly simple, but you have to do it or else people come on your property anywhere you are.
Jen? Okay, so I'm gonna repeat her question because our sound system doesn't work too good, but she is asking how close,
Just in that area, works good everywhere else.
how close the homes are to the property lines. Or how close will they be?
What are the
From the
setbacks?
aerial, you can see the homes on the aerial. These lots are 170 feet deep. This is, I would say, around 300 to 400 feet between the homes and the property line, the existing homes and the property line. And then you would have the additional rear yard areas of the new lots as well too, so you'd have another 80 feet on that as well between homes.
The developers don't like to build houses deep on the lot because it's more expensive for the driveway, more expensive for the water and the sewer lines and the electric come to the building. So you will see the houses built. I don't know what the minimum is.
What is your setback here that you guys are proposing?
On the side,
Your front setback?
well, the front setback is 35 feet.
Yeah, so
The side's 5.
No, side per 10.
Yeah, so the front setback's 35 feet. So all these houses are gonna have a huge backyard.
And all structures and homes would be within the applicable setbacks for the municipality.
Anything at the back of the property shed, that would have to be how far from the rear,
5 feet.
5 feet from the rear property line.
Yep.
Any further questions from anybody? Yeah. Are you ready to close the public hearing? You ready now? There's no more comments. It's the public's time to go.
Did he still have any more comments? I thought he said he had a few.
Pardon?
I thought he said he had.
Thank you for the advice. I'm all set.
Okay. And anything else?
Unless you have any other questions for me, be happy to entertain them.
I studied it, appreciate the running through the planning board, also for the commercial on 96. Now we have a concept. Thank you for that. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Having no feedback, no more feedback, I close the public hearing. Again, this project will go through the planning board process for multiple stages as they build the project.
It's not done with us.
It's not done with us
We
yet.
haven't approved it.
No,
We won't take any action tonight.
so we're not gonna approve the project tonight. The next thing on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm wondering if the scouts
Would do it.
would lead us in the pledge. You thought you were gonna get away. Thanks for up here. You can lead us in the pledge.
Father, who stands, one nation, under God,
Justice for all. Thank you. Any other items on, in the crowd here for privilege of the floor or public concerns? Any items here, people in the room, public concern? Privilege of the floor. Anybody online? Privilege of the floor or public concerns? Okay, hearing none. Reports of standing committees, public works is first.
Approve to the minutes.
Excuse me. Approval of the minutes from last town board meeting,
So
January 24th.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Nate, all in favor?
Aye.
Privilege of the floor, we did, and public concerns, we did. Reports of standing committees, public works.
Yeah, so on the water and sewer side of things, we've been talking for a while. They've been working at the treatment plant on our digester #1. That project's ongoing. It has been filled. Luckily, no leaks detected in it. They've just kind of been going through the cycle of the whole system. There is some work that has to be done on some recirculation pump there. But we're getting very close on getting that digester back online, and then we'll be taking another one offline for maintenance and repairs. Generator down at the plant, we've talked again about that being tested. They did do another load test on that. And they're planning on doing that about every Tuesday, again, just to make sure everything comes online if we do lose power at the plant. They have also been working on just removing some spoils from when they have to excavate from a water break. They just began getting rid of that last week. Water main 332 and 96, really just waiting for the weather to warm up here in the spring, and just the contractor has some restoration work, but for the most part, that project is done. We are going to be doing some smoke testing at some point in the next week or so over in the Doe Haven subdivision, and there'll be letters going out to notify residents. That's just a process we do to identify any infiltration that may be entering the system in a specific area. But if they do find it, smoke can come out of the ground, so it's good to let the neighbors know when that's going to be happening. Billing, we've been working on the new billing software, switching to MuniLink from our BAS system. That process began January 31st. Pump Station 7, that's over on East Victor Road, ongoing pump station upgrade. They are going to be closing the road either next Monday or Tuesday, to open cut the road for a pipe that they could not drill. So that roadway will be closed just for the day. We do have a resolution tonight to bid our annual water supplies, which is just parts for inventory that the department needs. And maintenance personnel has began working on fire hydrants for the season, and also working on raising some manholes on the sewer system. Again, that's just something that helps with I&I. Highway and Parks. Find the new file. Again, a lot of ongoing stuff, equipment maintenance as always. They did report they've pretty much finished working on the log jam that we had over on Mud Creek. Everything's been pulled out of there. Been removing more trees as necessary along the roads. Also been working down at Mertensia Park, installing some drainage pipe and getting ready for a new playground to be installed down there. We've had a contractor up at the transfer station grinding the tree and brush pile, turning it into mulch, which will be available for residents to use. And they've been out filling potholes as time permits. Parks, kind of same things that's been going on, general maintenance, working on picnic tables, benches for the summer. And they finished up the maintenance on the mowers. If you've been by the town park, you'll also notice that the pavilion over there has been removed. We're getting ready, hopefully this season, to get that replaced. And he's got 5 resolutions on tonight. We can discuss those as they come up. Several are improvements over at Farmbrook Park. for some new doors and roofing and some painting here in the town hall. And if there's any questions on those, we can discuss them as they come up in the agenda.
Thanks, Steve. Town operations.
Town operations met this morning. We have 8 resolutions. We can discuss more as they come up. We have now got all of the necessary sidewalk easements for our TAP project. And those are all on file at the county clerk's office. Still working on doing electric copies of the site plan and subdivision drawings. Preliminary design for the sidewalk connection project. And again, we had to reevaluate just exactly how many feet of sidewalk we could put in because the sidewalk materials have gotten pretty expensive. So we're gonna do as much as we can with the grant funding that we were given. Ron continues to work with the county. As far as we are in an intermunicipal drainage district. Couple different towns involved and involved in the central watershed and looking to get some federal money for studying the drainage area in the watershed. We do have the Ag Advisory Committee meeting this Thursday at 6:30. We did get some information back finally, Ontario County Tourism in regards to Airbnbs, the short-term rentals, and potentially having some town regulations moving forward. They've identified about 37 properties in Farmington right now that are currently being utilized as Airbnbs or advertised, not always full-time, but at some point are being utilized as Airbnbs. Issues we have with that is there's really been no safety inspections for what parts of the residence are they considering bedrooms. We've had areas that have been renovated and improved into bedrooms that wouldn't meet safety standards. They've also estimated that because there's no town regulations and issues with county regulations that we're out roughly $17,000 on potential sales tax and lodging taxes that should have been raised on those short-term rentals. So hoping to potentially move forward with some regulations on those. Still trying to get a response from all the parties involved with the need for the signalized intersection and the cost sharing at 96 and Mercer Boulevard, which is the property between the Tops Plaza and the where Finger Lakes Coffee Roasters is, and the design is to have a signalized intersection for those properties once the need arises. Still working on all the seeker in regards to the Farmington Market Center, and everything else will be on file.
Great, thanks, Nate. Reports of other committees and town officials, supervisor. Every once in a while, somebody asked me about the jail population, so I reached out last week. As of February 4th, the jail population was a total of 79, and there was 18 females in the Ontario County Correctional Facility. Last week, I attended 3 county committee meetings.
And house almost 300.
It can house almost 300. I remember mid 200s, not too long ago. Last week, I attended 3 county committee meetings: government operations, public works, and ways and means. Yesterday, Ron Brand and I also attended Ontario County sponsored a meeting on infrastructure where Ontario County staff and members from 6 towns and the city of Canandaigua discuss not only the current growth patterns, what we see in the future, and what the water and sewer capacities are now, and what will be needed in the future. This Thursday, I also will be attending Thursday night. Ontario County has a Board of Supervisors meeting. Here in Farmington, we finally received the 4th quarter sales tax. It was up 12.14% from the same time last year, which is a great number. I've worked with town staff and the town board here on a second software purchase. This Invoice Cloud. It'll vastly improve the way water and sewer customers can pay their bills. And we have a resolution to approve that tonight. Town 2023 insurance costs. We're working with our IMER folks. Generally, the insurance costs are up 6% this year. However, the cyber security insurance is up over 200%. And we'll look at approving that insurance package at our February 28th meeting. Lastly, the Department of Health samples were taken last week. And we should have the THM numbers back from the lab sometime next week. And that's all I have. I win Parks.
Not much more to add from what Steve had reported. The salesman from Viking Savaz, which does our bodies, hinted to me last week that possibly our truck was in up there in Harrisville, and I called him today and he did confirm that it is actually there. So hopefully we'll see it by winter.
Yeah.
He couldn't give me a time frame when it was done, but at least the truck's there, so that's a positive.
Right.
So that's about all I have.
Right.
More to add.
Clerk?
Well, yes, to date, we have collected a little over $9.8 million for county taxes, which equivalents to 4,712 payments received so far. And I officiated a wedding today, and I'll officiate another one tomorrow. That's it.
As I said earlier, love is in the air. Water and sewer, Dave.
The only thing I have to add is that I confirmed another shipment of parts for Badger for our upgrade to our meter reading system. And we should receive that Friday or Monday so that we can begin that upgrade out in the system next week.
Ah, good, very good. Building and zoning.
Yeah, it's been a strange start to the 2023 year. Permit numbers are down a little bit, but the applications for planning board have been increasing. So I think the permits are going to catch back up. But to report for January, we did 39 permits, 156 inspections, 5 fire inspections, and 34 stormwater MS4 inspections, and zoning officer had 28 inspections that he did as well. So that's what we have to report.
Very good, thank you. Ed, planning board.
Yes, next meeting is tomorrow night. And we have a preliminary site plan for the flex space on the corner, the south side of Loomis, east of 96 and west of Placerville. A little parcel there, they're putting in some flex space, storage space in that area, so we'll get a preliminary on that. And then we'll be discussing an extension for the Loomis Road Industrial Park. They're making a couple changes and they need some time for an extension on that. And that's pretty much it. Did I miss anything, Ron?
Just as 332 and not 96.
Oh, I'm sorry, 332. I didn't mean 96.
Yeah. East side of 332.
Yeah. And on a side note, my brother happens to be a surveyor. And since January 1st, they've got almost 0 requests for surveying since January. He doesn't know what happened. It just fell off the face of the earth. So it's really weird what's going on right now.
And mortgage rates went up and.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
He's never seen it like that. So I just support what Dan said.
Yeah, very good. Ron, Director of Planning and Development.
Yeah, we are working with the county on this short-term rental issue. They're looking to perhaps work up a model that they can take a look at the county level. We are also dealing with improvements that we are wanting to undertake here in the basement of the town hall so that we can free up some space in the building department area over there and create more usable space for our construction inspectors. The Ag Advisory Committee is looking at the possibility of undertaking agricultural conservation regulations. And we'll be discussing that Thursday night at that meeting. Other than that, we have a full plate of projects, not the least of which is one that the town board will be considering here in the near future. You heard tonight.
Great, thank you. Bill, town engineer.
Yeah, not too much to add. The smoke testing was mentioned. I think I just want to point out that the residents will be getting some notifications, but David, we were looking at the Fawn Meadows County Road 41 area. And I think Buckskin and Hunter for anybody that's looking at the minutes for the meeting. And then also resolution on tonight for improvements to the intersection at Klein and Brownsville. And just point out that the plans and specs will be available February 20th for that project, and bid opening March 21st.
Probably notify the 911 center when you do smoke testing, because they're gonna get calls.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
911.
Yeah, so we are looking at the Doe Haven area as Bill described. About half of it for smoke testing in the next week or two. We'll get a letter out and then follow it up with door hangers for the houses that were going to be in the general facility. So we haven't done it in quite a few years.
We determined it, we just did that this afternoon, and we determined it to be about 73 residents.
About 73 residents. Okay, good. Ron, want to add something you forgot?
I forgot.
I've been waiting for you.
I apologize. We received today volume 2, number 1 of Sustainable Tomorrow. It's about solar farms. And a major article in there is an article on the solar farm here in Farmington. 3 pages of keeping the farm in Farmington. And it talks about Roger and Carol Smith's long-term farming operations and how the solar farms are helping to sustain that operation up there. So it was put in the town ops report, which was posted on the town website today. I apologize for, had it right here in front of me and forgot all about it. There you go, Dan.
Good job. Bill, anything else?
No, that's it.
Right, the assessor office is still doing revals. They're meeting with a lot of residents that come in. Their exemption letters and processing that paperwork. Recreation, as mentioned, we're doing some improvements to some of our parks. And we're also looking at the Grove Park, improving a baseball field there, which staff here and part of the Recreation Advisory Committee will work with the Victor Little League on that project. That's all I got. Anything else from staff? On board? We got a historian here. We have a historian here.
No. Okay.
Turned in mine, yes, for a year late.
Yeah, we do have a historian, but that's for a couple of resolutions we have here tonight. Communication. 21 of them. Reports and minutes are on file, 15 tonight. And we'll go to resolutions. First resolution will be the official resolution to close the public hearing and any further deliberation on the power incentive rezoning action. We will then on Tuesday, February 28th, direct a preparation of a draft environmental document along with draft resolutions to approve the requested rezoning with conditions. So move by Mike. Second by Nate. Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 2 is the resolution authorizing the creation of the assistant assessor position. Motion by Steve, second by Ron. This is a new position that Ontario County created for us. And we're looking forward to this position. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3 is a resolution to approve a request for a partial release of funds, release number 2, letter of credit, section 2, Monarch Manor Incentive Zoning Project in the total amount of $99,186.94.
Second.
Motion by Nate, second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4 is a resolution to approve a request for a partial release of funds, number 2, also for establishing a letter of credit for site improvements associated with Auburn Meadows, section 8S, in the total amount of $503,391.39. So moved. Second. Motion by Ron, second by Mike. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Advise a resolution of endorsement of the South Farmington Friends and Chapel Organization's application to the New York State Registry of Historic Places and National Registry of Historic Places for the historic property recognition of the South Farmington Friends Cemetery Historic District.
Second.
Motion by Nate, second by Mike. Comments, questions? Anyone like to say anything or? Thank you.
We didn't vote on it yet.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 6 is a resolution of recognition of the Farmington Town Historian's application for participation in the Gardner Foundation Centennial Project for 2023, recognition of the GFSP acceptance by the town thereby enables its participation in the GFSP and authorization for a choosing student intern to provide space in the town hall to work with the town historian on a 2-year-long GSSP project.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Steve. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
I want to say something.
This is kind of a big deal in the state.
I don't think they probably can't.
Kind
hear
of,
you 'cause
we gotta have it come to the microphone.
I said, this is kind of a, never.
Get up there.
This is kind of a big deal in the state. There's 7 colleges, from New York City to community from Western New York.
No, we need you by one of the hanging microphones or.
Because people online can't hear you.
I didn't realize it. Okay. This project is kind of a big deal in New York State. The end result of all the research and working with these interns is going to be fed into the national commemoration of the American Revolutionary War. The goal is to find out what the effect of the war was on the western part of New York. And for you that don't know, probably 90% of our original settlers were connected with the war. So it definitely had an effect on Western New York. But this whole project, 2-year project, and it's, as I said, it's a really big deal. I for it and approved for it. I don't know who else is involved. As I said, it's a statewide project. And if I can get all your support with this intern, that would be great. I don't know what else to say, is that, I just want everybody to know how important this whole project is.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any questions? We did have a motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Seven is a resolution authorizing a budget amendment transferring money from the assessor personnel to the assessor overtime, in the amount of $14,500.
Second.
Motion by Nate, second by Mike. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 8 is confirming resolution of the upgrade from 3G to 4G. It's pump stations 5, 6, 11, 21, 23, and 25. And it's a cost not to exceed $15,616.72.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ron, second by Steve. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
9 is a resolution authorizing the town staff from the highway department, the water and sewer department, and the building department to attend a custom drone training presented by Scott for a total cost not to exceed $6,720.
So move.
Motion by Mike. Second by Nate. This is a small group of employees from each department to train and get certified on a drone operation, and then we'll be purchasing a drone. Used a lot for our overlook of our water retention ponds. Especially after the leaves drop in the fall. And water and sewer will use it because they have a lot of water lines and sewer lines that run through the roads. That they want to from time to time check that and map that with the current information we have. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. As a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign an agreement to hire B.R. Johnson LLC for replacement of 5 doors at Farmbrook Park restrooms, bathrooms and storage building at a cost not to exceed $11,500.
So moved.
Second. So Tim was able to go out and get 3 quotes. B.R. Johnson, the lowest, the highest quote was almost $24,000. Did have 3. And this is for the Farmbrook, again, the Farmbrook Park. All in favor?
Aye.
11 is a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign an agreement to hire Word of Mouth Painting LLC for painting the interior walls in the town hall at a cost not to exceed $6,000.
Second.
So we tore apart the town hall in 2017, moved in 2018. It's hard to believe it's been that long. But the hallway, especially the hallway walls, and we had a few cracks in some of the windows to get repaired. All in favor?
Aye.
Well, as a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign an agreement to hire Secor Contracting Services LLC. And this is for a tear off and re-roofing at Farmbrook Park bathroom, storage building, and the pavilion, not to exceed 23,000. So moved. Second. Motion by Steve, second by Ron. Again, we're able to go out and get 3 quotes. The highest one, almost $33,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 13 is a resolution authorizing advertising of bids for the Klein Road and Brownsville Highway improvements.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mike, second by Steve. Again, we designed this in like 2018-19 and put it in the 2023 budget to improve that area of the road. All in favor? Aye. 14 is a resolution authorizing quarterly stipend and pay increase for August Gardner effective with payroll 4, which is February 5th, 2023.
Second.
Motion is second. Again, increasing nature of the code enforcement position. The only person on the county's list was already employed by the town. And Augie did receive quite an offer from a developer to go to work from him, so we had to raise our compensation up a little bit so we wouldn't lose him. All in favor?
Aye.
15 is a resolution authorizing acceptance of the monthly report for the supervisor.
Second.
Motion by Nate, second by Mike. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. 16 is a resolution appointing Brian White and David Shields to the Conservation Board for terms effective February 14th, 2023 and expiring December 31st, 2023.
Second.
Motion to second. And now, since David's online, I just remind everybody that they have to come in before the Conservation Board meeting and get sworn in by the town clerk. All in favor?
Aye.
17 is a resolution appointing Barbara McIntosh to the Board of Assessment Review effective February 14th and expiring September 30th, 2027.
So moved.
Motion by Mike, second by Nate. All in favor? Aye. That fills up the Board of Assessment Review. Resolution to reorder 2022 highway parks equipment based on 2023 pricing due to supply issues by Ford Motor Company. Motion by Nate, motion by Ron, second by Steve. Again, we had our trucks in order. They stopped production last year and said we could get to the head of the line and reorder them. However, one F-550 is going to be over $17,000 more than the previous year. And F-350s are in the $16,500 range more than the previous year when we ordered the truck and they canceled the order.
These were ordered December of 2021. And they never got us.
They were ordered in December of 2021 and never hit the production line in 2022.
Ford couldn't fill the orders on them because whatever issues with the chips or.
Yep.
they couldn't build them, so we gotta reorder them for 2023 trucks instead of 2022 trucks.
So luckily, we have had the money in the highway department, because it'll be almost $51,000 more for these three vehicles. All in favor? Aye. Resolution 19, authorizing the town supervisor to electronically sign the contract with Invoice Cloud.
So move. Second.
Motion by Nate, second by Ron. And I had mentioned this earlier. It's the second piece of software for the water and sewer billing. All in favor?
Aye.
20 is a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign a coverall contract addendum for a cost of living increase for the cleaning services.
Second.
It's basically a 5% increase. County sees anywhere from 5 to 8% increase in some of their different contracts. And then we will look towards the end of the year, going out for a rebid and requote from multiple vendors. All in favor?
Aye.
21 is a resolution authorizing additional funding for the sidewalk capital project.
So move.
Second.
My Mike, second by Nate. Again, this is the capital project that we've had in the budget. And we're allocating an additional $150,000 as part of our share of the federal funds and loans to do the over $2 million. All in favor?
Aye.
22, resolution authorized transfer of funds, and this is from our 2019 VLT, 2020 VLT money, and 2021 VLT capital reserve accounts once the public referendum period is complete.
So move. Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Mike. So of the VLT monies that we've been saving, we have money going to the highway fund, the Parks Equipment Reserve Fund, Beaver Creek Capital Project Fund, Town and Facility Land Acquisition Reserve, Emergency Service Reserve, Parks Building Upgrades Capital Project, for our downstairs Town Hall Capital Project. We also have a Parks Building Upgrade Capital Project. We have a tax stabilization reserve. Again, some more money coming out of the 21 BLT for the Town Hall Capital Project, the Parks Improvement Capital Project. And it's a new establishment of a capital project for a future highway pole barn. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. 21 is a resolution authorizing acceptance of easements and stormwater control facility maintenance agreement with Loomis Hidden Treasures LLC.
So move.
Second.
So this is an agreement. It goes through our staff and our engineers. It ends up with our town attorney for drawing the assessment of the easements. Every stormwater facility in the town has a stormwater easement agreement. So that allows us to get access to the property if it needs maintenance when the owner does not maintain the stormwater areas. All in favor?
Aye.
24 is a resolution setting a public bid opening date for our annual 2023 Canada Farmington Water District water main fittings and supplies. This will be for March 9th at 11 a.m. here at the town clerk's office. She'll accept the bids.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Ron. This is an annual process we go through and we get 4 or 5 bidders. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 25 is a resolution authorizing acceptance of the estimate from Colosino Industries to upgrade the outdated sludge pump control system. This is at the wastewater treatment plant. It costs not to exceed $9,960.
So move.
Second.
And again, this is kind of an unplanned event, but it has to be done. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 26, resolution appointing Paula Ruthen to the assistant assessor position effective with payroll 5, February 19, 2023. This is a position that we created in an earlier resolution.
Second.
Motion by Nate, second by Mike. Any questions? We have conversation with Paula, so she's, this morning, she's fully aware of that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. 27 is abstract number 3 for 2023 to pay the bills, general fund, $363, $363,803.54. Highway fund, $53,309.67. Beaver Creek Park, $871.89. Sidewalk capital project, $36,659.09. Town line capital project, $110. Storm drainage, $1,907.45. Fire protection district, $262,636.17. Sewer district, $84,365.45. Water district, $18,437.33. Payroll deductions, $51.51. For a total abstract, $822,152.10. Have a motion, please? We'll move.
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Mike. Comments, questions, corrections, any abstentions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. You have 2 trainings there. Listed, with training under $100. I do have one discussion, late fee, 1123 Belmont Avenue. Again, the ladies basically said, to whom it concerns, I'm hoping to have the fee removed from the invoice I paid electronically on February 3rd. I do realize the payment was late. I'm asking that this be waived as a one-time courtesy on my next bill. Again, we normally don't do that. Is that still the same?
Same as.
Okay, here the board's saying the same, so we'll send her a letter tomorrow or the next day. With that. No executive sessions, no waivers of the rules. Anything else to be brought before the town board? Anybody online, anything to be brought before the town board? Okay, I thank the scouts for coming tonight. Appreciate it. And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Nate, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.